California Governor Gavin Newsom had this message for Democrats ahead of the midterms.
We don't talk enough about interest rates. We don't talk about incumbency. Issues related, you just had Bibian, related to Israeli politics, immigration, the border in particular. You could talk about all those things, not just 107 days, not just talk about Biden's determination or lack thereof in terms of passing the baton. We have to be more culturally normal. We have to be a little less judgmental. We have to be a party that understands the importance and power of the border, substantively and politically.
Culturally normal, did you pick that up? The lady on the right-hand side of the screen is Lara Trump, who joins us now. Did Newsom just admit that the Democrats' biggest problem is being focused on the wrong things?
Well, he certainly said that in some part there, Stuart. There's no doubt about it. It's funny, listening to him, I was like, did he get his messaging from Donald J. Trump? Because that's exactly what President Trump ran on, all the things he just laid out there. You know, the problem the Democrats have had, and he's right about this, is that their messaging has been terrible. The things that they have focused on, the American people have not been interested in. You know, it turns out it's a losing message to talk about siding with criminals and defunding the police and mutilating children. Americans don't want any of that. They do want to feel safe and secure. They do want more money in their pocket, and they want to know that they have people who are looking out for them as a country. And so that's the problem the Democrats have had. Now, what's interesting about listening to Gavin Newsom there is I think it's pretty clear, Stuart, that this guy wants to run for president. So to watch him be this political chameleon, I think will be very interesting over the coming years. The things people liked about Donald Trump is that he was authentic to the core, and he said exactly what he thought all the time. I don't know that this play is going to work for Gavin Newsom, but let's let him run with it and see what happens.
He's going to run with it, that's for sure. The president wants to create these Trump accounts, $1,000 for America's babies. I have to tell you, Lara, I think the president's hit the jackpot with this one. I think it's one of the best ideas to come out of Washington in a long, long time. And I'm sure you agree with me.
I agree with you 100%. Listen, this president has talked for a long time about wanting to bring back the American dream. And when you're looking at our next generation of Americans, that's what he thinks this will be able to do. You know, if done the right way, these accounts could render somewhere between $1 and $2 million per kid by the time they reach adulthood. I mean, think about overall the benefit that's going to have to our next generation of Americans, the leg up that those kids are going to have one day when they become adults. The other thing that I think is interesting, too, with this in particular, that this could also have an impact in, is we've seen our birth rates decline significantly here in the United States, Stuart. You know, we have to stop pairing the idea of having kids as a problem or limiting you in some way. Maybe this is a way that Americans can now look and say, you know what, it is feasible for me to have a family. It is a great thing. There is some positive return on that. And certainly, I agree with you. I think this is such a great idea. And of course, leave it to President Trump to think about something, Stuart, no one else was even talking about.
That's right.
I think long term, this is going to be great for the country overall.
You think the administration is putting more emphasis on helping raise children? It seems like it.
Well, absolutely. You know, this is a president who doubled the child tax credit during his first term in office. Something else that came out of these Trump accounts is we're going to see that continue. You know, helping working families. That's something that this president cares greatly about, and his administration has shown it during the first term and now again in the second term. And so, listen, there's nothing better than having a family. Take it from a mom of 2 kids herself. There's no greater joy in life and no more important position I will ever have than the position and the title of mom.
I see Michael and Susan Dell putting $6 billion into 25 million accounts for young children. The great hope here is that other very wealthy people will join in and do something the same. I think that's a distinct possibility. Regrettably, Laura, I'm out of time. I'm very sorry about this, but that's the way it is. I'm going to be watching your show, though, My View with Lara Trump, every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox. Lara, thank you very much indeed for being here.